Okay, so I didn't get to go over this when we were doing our coaching session, and I said I would, so I'm going to do it now as a video, and hopefully it makes sense and we don't have any questions. If you do, please hit me up, DM me, and I will possibly make it to scrims as well. So if you have any questions and you watch this video before scrims, then you can ask me that. This is my thought process, especially when coaching. You need to figure a lot of stuff out on your own, and sometimes testing it is not like the most ideal. And watching games is a lot of how I learn how to coach, how compositions work. But also, this is my thought process when going through things. So, if you're looking at two compositions, right? First off, knowing the idea of each composition is incredibly important. We want to know the idea of the composition. What does it do really, really well? Um, and what does it do poorly, right? So then you know how to play it, right? That should all make sense. Now it comes in two compositions relatively similar, have the same general idea, but will have different ways of playing it, right? There are different micro things that each person can be doing to utilize the strengths and weaknesses of each other's comp. So I'm going to go over how I analyze it. It's not how everyone does, but this is my general take on everything. So you have each team has a composition, and you can do this mid game. It's somewhat more difficult, but because you're trying to one figure out strengths and weaknesses of comp, and then how are we supposed to play it. There are a lot of things that happen in game that make this more difficult. But if you have any downtime, if you have time to think about it mid game, this works really well. So you have a composition, right? It doesn't matter which one, right? You compare it to the enemy composition, right? And you say, okay, most are going to have like main tank, projectile DPS, something other DPS. Here's how you look at it. There's a lot of aspects of it. So you look at the support line for each, right? They're both Bap Lucio. So you take those characters, since they're both Bap Lucio on each team, take those characters, cross them off, cancel them out. They're gone. Imagine they don't exist, right? Imagine neither team had either of these. Okay, cool. Reinhardt, both in each composition, right? Take them out. They don't exist. Cool. Symmetra. Both teams have a Symmetra. They don't exist. Does not exist. So now you are left with Junk, Orisa on one team, and Reaper. Let me hold up. Reaper, Diva on the other team, right? What does Junk do really well? Junk does quite a lot of poke damage, right? And so does Orisa, right? So a lot of poke damage. These characters, especially with the Orisa shield, comparatively to Diva, can do more collective off-angling because of the use of the shield. And from longer ranges. So this composition as a whole should also be utilizing the specific strengths of the characters that are different. Right? So let's clear all this. Let's make it look a little bit better. Cross out all these characters. They do not exist. Right? So what should this whole composition be doing? It should be looking to poke, play longer sight lines, and off angles. Okay, now take Reaper, right? What is Reaper really good at? He's really good at brawling, right? What is Diva really good at? She's good at a lot of things, but specifically in this comp, she's also very good at brawling. So how should this composition play as a whole? Well, they look to brawl, right? Comparatively to this composition in a brawl, straight up brawl, very in your face, will win over this composition. So that's how you should be playing it. You should be trying to play it as a brawl, right? Now you can do this for everything. You can do this concept, take just the characters, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what this character is good at doing. I don't care. It doesn't matter what this character is good at doing because both teams have it. Right? If both teams play it completely ideally, then you would never be able to win the game. If both teams had perfect play and they just had these characters, you would never be able to play the game. It would never end, right? So we take these, and this is how you figure out coaching, especially, but figure out how to play your comp versus enemy comp in the moment. You take all the characters that are the same, you say they do not exist. What is the strengths of the difference of compositions? Sweet. Again, if you have any questions about this is my method of taking compositions and breaking them down. There's obviously numerous examples, and some get extremely complicated. I use this one just because it was somewhat easy to understand, because most of the characters are just completely the same, and obviously it doesn't work in the mirror matchup. You do just have to, if it's a mirror matchup, you do have to know the idea of your comp and then execute off of that. But just play to the strengths of the composition as a whole. Which might mean that if you're on the Reinhardt, maybe you're playing a bit more passive, right? Maybe you're not in their face. Maybe you're allowing your Junkrat to get more poke off. But that means that you're maybe not doing as much, right? Look at Stand 1's ult percentage comparatively to Muse's, right? It's not as much. Then you look at Shoes compared to Myeonbong's. That's because they're taking more. This team is taking more poke as this team is getting hit by the Stand 1 brawl, right? So just a bit of that in action. If you have any questions about how some characters' strengths and weaknesses, I'm happy to talk about it. But this is just a general overview for how I take my coaching, how I look at a composition, critically analyze it, and compare it to other compositions. And you can do this in your competitive games. You can do this in scrims. You can do this in coaching. And it works really well for me. So, thank you.